Hey there, and welcome to AfterBuzz's Anime Reviews. We're talking about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, episodes 1 through 4. It gets dark really fast. Are you all ready for those feels? We're going to talk about them. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Cue that theme song. And ready for the rock music. Yes! So we're talking about Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, episodes 1 through 4. Okay, so we're going to do a quick intro of ourselves and tell you how much we know about the show. So my name's Kari Lane, and I have seen Fullmetal Alchemist, but I have not seen Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood.
Hey guys, I'm Oliver Drennan. I've never seen a single episode of Fullmetal Alchemist, so I am the millennial fan.
Tony,
I'm practically worthless.
No!
such lies.
You're great.
Hi guys, I'm Alexis Torres. I am the person who's watched this way too many times to count, to the point where I have it on my own body forever. This is one of my top 5 favorite animes, so I've seen both. I've seen the movies. I have not seen the live action because we haven't gotten that far yet. I don't know if I can do it. But yes, I'm excited to talk about it and share it with you guys.
And then real quick, make sure to like, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, and follow us on Twitter at ABTV Anime, because we talk about press releases on this show at the end, like what news is coming out in anime, and at cons and everything. So make sure to follow us also on Twitter, because maybe if we don't get to it here, we'll talk about it there.
Also, real quick, Tony in the booth.
Yes, our other member.
Yeah, I was about to say, I actually this anime does hold a special place in my heart.
Yes.
I gotta say, it's probably one of my top 5 as well.
Yes.
Although I don't have any tattoos on my body, so
it's okay.
Alexis, you're
Next birthday present, boy. I got you.
definitely champion for sure. But I have seen this show multiple times, especially the original, and Brotherhood just knocks everything out of the park compared to the original, and my god, I can't wait to get into this. I'm so excited.
I don't have a tattoo, but I wear my necklace, so I was like, I got a little thing, and I was thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, I have the shirt, and I'm all excited because it's interesting as someone who's seen like the other version approaching into this, because I'm like, oh, okay, let's like, for my initial thoughts, I'm like, oh, they've changed the order of things. That's different. Ollie, for you, you've never seen it. What were your initial thoughts on this show?
I feel like it's taken me back to like when anime was getting like really relevant in America, kind of like with Adult Swim, like I know Inuyasha, so it's kind of cool. Like I'm a little excited to kind of finally give this anime a shot for the first time, so I can get on your guys' level, and seeing like you guys so into it and very excited putting it on your body, like that's. I think
it's gonna be the theme of the show.
It seems like this is a really special anime, and so I'm really looking forward to diving into it.
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up, because Inuyasha and Fullmetal Alchemist were the 2 first animes that I was introduced to at the same time. So I was just like, what the hell? Because it was very, it's very different, because Inuyasha is very lovey and kind of like, oh my gosh, and there's like cherry blossoms, and it's all really like bubblegumish and pretty. And then you have this, it's like death. And so it was very interesting. And that's kind of where my love of anime started, was from Fullmetal Alchemist. And then I started finding more like DBZ, Sailor Moon, Cowboy Bebop. So like this is huge for me.
I think Full Metal for me was like after when I first started going to like Anime Expo or something. But it's been like 10 years that I'm like, it's been a while.
Yeah, the original.
So it's nice to watch it now, because I'm like, I have vague memories of things, but then it's like, I thought this came later. So
and it was a long time ago. This the original Fullmetal Alchemist came out in 2003.
Okay,
like,
nice.
Come on,
It's been a while.
And Brotherhood came out in 2010. So like there was a giant gap
Big
there.
gap.
Yeah.
So then you will be our resident expert of the somewhat differences between.
Don't put that on me.
Well, then I'll be second in command of like, as I recall, because first off, the order is different.
Way
so
different.
this is, most of y'all watching, if you're super anime fans as well, that's fantastic. And if you're new like Ollie to this show, that's amazing too. I like that this show is more true to the manga. Learning that, I'm like, oh, okay,
like panel
cool.
for panel in certain episodes.
Wow.
It's insane. Yeah.
Nice.
The when we get into, what is it, episode 2 with Rose, like it's like panel for panel.
Okay.
For sure.
Episode 1 is Fullmetal Alchemist, and that one, real briefly, it's the brothers. They're adjusting to military life, and they take part in the manhunt for Isaac the Freezer, the former state alchemist bent on ending the reign of Führer Bradley, which is interesting via translation, dubbed and subbed, because they call him Führer and King, and I'm like,
That's not the same, guys.
You're okay. But per IMDb, is this a live chat? Oh, yay!
Guys, live chat is on
snaps.
fire right
Love
now.
it, guys.
it's
Welcome.
Oh my
So
God.
if you
I'm about
are
to
tuning
bring that
into
up
this
over here.
live, we have a live chat going. We'll be dropping you in the
yeah.
chat. If you're watching this later, please comment down below your thoughts on the episodes. And I mean, I know it's been out for some time, but myself and Ollie coming at this kind of new, or at least the Brotherhood new. Please, no spoilers.
Yeah, stick to episodes 1 and 4.
through 4.
Come on now.
Watching on Netflix.
Be good.
So.
Come on, I'll be kicking people out
Yes.
if I have to.
So we get that first episode, which, we get the introduction of our characters. We get Edward Elric and Alphonse Elric. They're our brothers. Ed and Al for short, which is much easier. We also get Roy Mustang, who's our flame alchemist, and Riza Hawkeye, his essentially assistant from what we gather at the beginning. I mean, there's a lot more that happens with these people, so don't worry, guys. It's more just like, what is our initial introduction? So since you've never seen these characters, what did you think of them initially, Ollie?
I think so far what I like about this anime is that Ed is the older brother and then Al is the younger brother. And I just love that dynamic when like you kind of have that little bigger brother, like because that's very true in life. Like my little brother is taller than me, and it's hilarious. Like my favorite part of this anime so far in these first 4 episodes is just the comic relief because it's like not all the time. It's really nicely placed throughout each episode. I mean, some episodes. Yeah. Episode 4 wasn't. We'll talk about it.
We're gonna get there.
But so far I'm really enjoying Ed. Like Ed's a really,
he's
really
my favorite.
he's a spitfire, and I love his short guy complex. It's hilarious.
It gets worse.
And the animation on this show is so great because I mean, anime does switch styles to express emotion, but this one does it
How
so
simple it
well.
is when they get his little teeth and like.
Yeah.
I love when Al, when he becomes kind of like, you can tell like his age at that point, because like he goes from like this big bulky guy to and his eyes become little dots, and he's just like, oh, and it's just really funny.
Because there's a part we were talking about, which is at the end, I think it's at the end of episode 1, where Alex Louis Armstrong.
Oh,
it's like, how
I
can you not
love him so much.
He's so funny.
Yeah, I just love the little sparkles that just show up
by
out
his
randomly.
face.
Oh, he makes me so happy.
He shows up and he's like, let my muscles help you. And just the reaction of the two, our main Ed and Al, where they're like these simple drawings of like, ah!
Yeah.
And it's just so adorable.
Yeah.
And it's just...
So are we seeing more muscles throughout this show?
Oh yeah, he's like, let me take my shirt off.
He takes off his shirt all the time.
Plenty of Armstrong muscles. And
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
gonna love every second of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
I love every second of it.
And it's crazy because in the original, you don't get to really know him until like episodes in. So yeah, it's nice to meet him like immediately.
Yeah, that brings up a good point. So for someone who's already seen it and then you're coming at it new, and then I guess mine indirectly.
Yeah.
How is this new introduction of characters different, in terms of like, how does that feel to have these people introduced sooner rather than later?
Well, I always thought that it felt like the original was such a slow burn, but it was enough information and things going on that I didn't mind it being a slow burn.
Sure.
And again, at that time I didn't read the manga. I knew of it. And then so obviously after it I was like, oh, I wanna read it now. And then I read it and I was like, this is really strange. I have no idea what's going on now because it was so out of order. But it was fine because now that when I rewatched it in 2010 or when it finally aired, I was like, oh, this is nice. Because it's just, especially when we get more into it, especially with Ed and his actual like no transmutation circle part, how the fact that you have to wait till episode 6 in the original, and here you get it episode 1.
Yeah.
Like insane.
He's so good, he can just do the and he's ready.
I love him so much.
His muscles.
Daddy
I love
Armstrong.
that he's actually, there's some amazing people who cosplay him.
Oh, it's so
and
good.
without his shirt, and they're like ripped too, and they're like, I have found my character to cosplay. And then they get the little curl on their heads too.
Especially when he gets really excited, it what is it
Wiggles?
called? Yeah, wiggles sometimes. It's like boop, boop, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh man,
You were literally the perfect specimen.
And then, hey Tony, can we make the chat a little bigger? So there's so much going on. I won't be able to read read all of them. I know Alexis is on it, but I'm like, I can't read that.
Yes. He is so extra, Cloak.
He is
just said
extra.
That. Armstrong is extra. I'm like,
Yes.
oh yeah. Like if I didn't know the actual term of extra, just look up Armstrong. It's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. So TMT Courtney points out Führer King Bradley. Führer means leader, and it's like general. There's different ones of German, and then there's King. So it's a little redundant. On IMDb, it just lists him as King. But it's interesting in Japanese. I'm watching in Japanese with the subtitles, and then it just feels like, all right, it's cool. I must say, my initial thoughts on him, I'm like, I don't remember much, but I'm like, damn, he is bamf. Oh my goodness. Yeah. You barely know anything about him. So what do you think of this character? So he's the guy who's lightning the sword. You never see move.
He was the one. He was the one.
He's
that,
the one who's like
that Ed tried to attack and told him that you should be more careful with your tests. Which also I liked.
That's
the test was
the eye patch guy.
Yeah, eye patch guy with the mustache.
Yes.
To put it in simpler terms, I'll bring up a picture of him right now.
Yeah.
But he's shown as kind of this really like almost whatever kind of dude on the other scenes where he's just kind of smiling, and I'm like, there is so much more going on there.
Especially because like how they draw his eyes too, like you don't really see them sometimes. They're mostly just like, I'm in a smiley mood. I'm like, oh, so suspicious.
Yes, it makes me very suspicious.
Well, now I'm suspicious that you're suspicious.
You're
so
like, this dude.
I have to watch out for this guy, huh?
Well, it's one of those, he's shown this way, which I think it's great to introduce him as this almost like benign.
I don't trust him. He has an eye patch.
And,
I don't
yes,
trust-
there's an eye patch.
Don't trust anyone with an eye patch.
Yes.
Lord.
And then we know he has mad skills because there's at least 2 scenes where his sword does something and you never see it move.
So crazy.
And it's so great. And yeah, Alexis, you pulled up that moment where Ed's like, when he draws a sword, what? And you're like, yes.
Look at that.
Oh, hello.
Hi, Armstrong. Also,
Yeah. But it makes me curious because I liked how this episode, Isaac, the way he was talking, he's obviously pretty crazy. But some of the things he was saying, I'm like, how in the wrong is the leadership right now? That you kind of go, because sometimes crazy people have some grain of truth.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd remembered thinking that before. So, but this was like,
I mean, we also didn't have a character like this in the original either. So it was really, really cool to kind of see someone from the military side being like, all of you guys are corrupt. Because most of the time we only had Scar talking about it kind of for a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's really, really cool.
yeah. But so then that was kind of cool. The ice fighting was pretty darn awesome. I love that. And then Armstrong's like kind of using Earth essentially.
So this is giving me Avatar Last Airbender
A
vibes.
little bit, you know, because we got the ice.
Like yeah, because I forgot his title. It's like the Iron.
Which one?
Armstrong's title, like because everyone has a nickname.
Yes,
and I can't remember for the life of me what
I
it's
had
called.
other notes and I left them at home.
Chat. What is the title?
What is
of
Armstrong's?
Armstrong?
What is his alchemist name?
Yeah, I think it's Iron something. I'm blanking on it. So,
and
but,
my goodness, how surprised were we, and how awesome and gross is it? Well, your body's made of 70% water. If you have no water around, what can you use? My blood, my own blood. Yeah, sure.
That's how you know that he's hit that line of like, I'm nuts.
Well, because I'm like, he's gonna die. How much blood do you have in your body? You know, you have about 8 pints. Side note.
Yes. He's a strong arm alchemist.
Strong arm.
Just strong arm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
I don't know why I thought it was like, I'm strong arm the iron something, but it's fine. I was just curious.
No,
okay, it's just a strong arm.
Armstrong. Okay. Armstrong, strong arm. It's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
Oh, that's right, because it's switched. Okay. That's why I kept forgetting. Thank you. But I also think that's really cool because if you are a fan of Last Airbender, bloodbending is also a thing. So, yeah. So, I'm like, oh my,
it's just wonderfully beautiful and creepy.
Yeah.
And that fight was actually pretty
Iron
exciting.
fists.
Was it exciting rewatching it, and was it exciting for you for the new time, seeing the like ice coming at Central and like them trying to break the circles?
So does each person kind of have like an element or something? Is that what, or
Well, they have, like,
everyone has like a specialty?
Specialty. I
most
go
of
with
them-
specialty.
Yeah, most of them have like a certain specialty to them. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like,
we
we
logged
can't.
into my account. I'm like, hey,
Oh
that's
yeah,
my name.
yeah, because it's the computer. So I was like, well, I told people that it's me though, so they're not like, what?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, good point. I'm like, I haven't gone to
If
that
you
part
have
in
not
Avatar
watched
either.
Last Airbender, get with it.
I have, but I don't
Oh,
remember
no.
that. But
Oh gosh. Good.
but back to our thing. Yes, it does seem like right now we're kind of introduced to everybody essentially has a specialty that you're really good at. Like Roy, he can do fire and he has the snap and his special bloods to help the ignition. Then we have the water/ice. Then we have kind of it's a little bit like earth, stone, because he makes the building stuff move too.
Pretty much.
But then Ed, it's like he can do whatever, which is pretty funny.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we kind of get introduced to alchemy, that you need the equivalent to exchange and everything, which, like, when he pulls his spear out of the ground, you notice the earth around it there's less material because that material is there. So it's like,
I'm so glad that you brought that up because some people didn't understand that. Obviously, when you
No,
first
it's
watch
totally-
it, but yeah,
it's
it
equivalent
makes sense.
exchange, 'cause-
I think that was like people's like biggest complaint with the live action because they didn't do that.
oh,
It was just flat.
because he makes a line, too. He's like, you can't make something a different size even, too.
Yeah.
Like, you can't make, like, a grape become like an orange, like it's different sizes.
And no, that sometimes in this anime, because it's animation, they will forget to put that in there, but it's mostly like very small.
Yeah, they'll have like little dialogue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's useless in the rain. Good point. Yeah, in the chat.
I have a quick question.
Yeah,
someone brought up in the chat. I forget who it was. I can't.
go ahead.
Can't scroll up.
Yeah.
But so was Brotherhood? Did they actually revoice everything, like dub everything again? Since that was in 2003.
Yeah.
To kind of.
Yeah,
I think they
had to because they replaced Al's person because it's been years. Yeah, he doesn't have that that high pitch anymore. So they had a different actor. Yeah, they had a different actor. No, they all went back in and redid the lines and it's funny because if you listen to the original and this one, you can actually hear that's kind of the same in certain areas. But yeah, no, same cast, just redubbed.
Couple.
Is English? How different is that cast?
Not very different.
Okay.
No.
I didn't know if we were talking about the English.
No, I was talking about the English dub.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about the English dub.
Then we have the. I think that was there anything else on episode 1 that stood out to y'all specifically? I'm like that was kind of the main.
Armstrong at the end.
Yeah. And he's like, "Let me help you heal, brah, muscles." So that kind of wraps up episode 1 because it's just kind of like I like that this version of the show just drops you in. Here is information. You're like, whoa. But then it's flashbacks and memories.
In episode 2.
And then leads us into episode 2, which is the first day.
Deep.
I know.
Where it's like a glimpse into the past reveals the pain and desperation that drove the Elric brothers to break down the taboo, which I do like. They're like, it's the taboo. Human transmutation. So we learn about that and then why they joined the military in the first place. I do not recall the white space much from the original, and I'm like, oh, I like that, and the little hands that grabs.
It explains more. I mean, there was a white space because you get to see the door at one point, but it's not as detailed as it is in this show.
Which this was great. I thought this gave you the information, and then this is kind of your lead-in of why Ed can do more and at such a young age because he got so much of that information.
Oh,
now,
so
did that come across? I was wondering of Ollie coming out this new.
Well, I don't know because I don't know what it was originally, so it's kind of like okay, I'm taking the information, so I really don't have much to draw off of. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
No, just
Let me rephrase the question.
Give us like your initial reaction, notwithstanding from like the previous iteration of Fullmetal Alchemist.
Yeah, more the so he gets that white room space where he talks to that entity that's like, I'm the universe, I'm God, I'm life itself. And then he gets these visuals that he's like, my brain's gonna explode. Did that come across well that essentially that's what helps make him be a better alchemist because he became saturated with information and that's why he's so good at such a young age? Because everyone's like, you are so young. But, I mean, he has been learning, but it's like essentially he gets 30 years of information in like 5 minutes.
Oh. I guess that's cool.
No, but it's a little bit like quick that information comes out, but I think that's fine if it's a little bit like, wait, what?
So that wasn't originally in this?
No, I don't remember that at all. So I was like, this is great, because then it breaks down a little bit more like why he is so skilled. I mean, I think he is naturally has abilities, but this makes him work. Because they learn from their dad's notebooks.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, oh, absent father, too. Where they're like,
oh, yeah, they haven't.
Did dad teach you? They're like, no, he's not here. So that was great. And then we get the poor mom gets sick and dies. And then absolutely it makes sense that young children would try to bring back a parent. And that's the only one taking care of them. And I think, what do you think? Do you think he was on the right path and it makes sense?
To bring the mom back?
Try to bring the mom back? Like he has a human body is made of this, this, and this.
I mean, go for it. If you have the resources, clearly it didn't really work out, but in a sense it kind of, I don't know, got powers, right?
Yeah.
Like, I guess, sure, way to go.
Yeah.
Well, later you learn, and like, I don't know, would you guys want to be in that situation of like, it totally sucks that he lost an arm and a leg for Ed, but later it's been very useful to have those as weapons, essentially.
Oh, well, yeah, for sure.
Like the part where the Chimera bites his arm, and you're like, well, if your arm was flesh right now, or the part where the guy grabs your arm, I'm like, keep on your bodies back, but I'd be like, dude, that's kind of useful. Just saying.
Yeah, I feel like if they for
Al, absolutely, I get it.
Yeah,
he has no body.
Yeah, so I don't know, it's tough because I like it. Definitely adds to the fact that like a lot of situations that they get themselves into, it definitely helps that he has metal limbs, but at the same time, I was like, oh, you had to go through through so much. You know, it's tough.
But it's also kind of like he seems not invincible, but he seems like he's I don't know.
He has
No,
a leg up.
you're on the right path because like if you ripped off that arm, he's got nothing.
Yeah.
So.
And then that also gets us introduced to Winry. Aww. Who's adorable. So what do you think, Winry? You don't know much about her yet, but
yeah. I just hope she turns into a badass. Like hopefully, like.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I was like, no, just give
other
it
than that, I'm like, you're kind of boring. Next.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's how she's portrayed in terms of Ed's like, me, she's the annoying little sister tag along, essentially.
Which
but
I don't like. I want her to be a strong female character. So I hope. Okay, good.
hang in there.
Yeah.
Because she made their armor. Like, that's how, made Ed's armor.
Yeah, she's.
Yeah. And her grandma.
Yeah.
Who's
And
totally
Oh my
awesome,
God.
too.
I
Love
love
her.
I love the banter between her and Ed. That was hilarious. How they're both short and they're just going back and forth and how short they are. See, this is why I really do enjoy the comic relief so far. It was so good.
Yeah.
And I mean, that kind of sums up episode 2 is just the flashback, give us context, which is nice because they get to it right away. It's not a show that's like, let's drag it out for a while. They're like, nope, here, we'll drop you in. Let's give you some rewind. And then, which jumps us into episode 3, City of Heresy, which that one is nice because at the beginning you get a little flashback as well while Ed's on Ed and Al are in the train and he's just like remembering, which, this episode is so hard to watch too in another way of just the problems you can have with religion. And I think they handle it really well. What about you guys?
Well, yeah. I feel like Rose was kind of like this a naive character that they show. I don't know the future of Rose. I'm always just thinking about what's gonna happen to these characters. So that's just what I do.
Yeah.
But I feel like she was kind of like that tool, you know, to kind of just show that like she is very naive and you know the harm that religion can do to people who aren't really educated. And it's okay to be religious, but to kind of force religion on a character who is isn't able to think for themselves. I think Rose was definitely that tool in this particular episode.
Yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean that episode always hurts my soul because Rose, it doesn't matter which version you've seen it in, you always feel bad for her. And I feel like it was a little worse for her in the original because they kind of tormented with her a little bit more. I'm not going to spoil it just in case if you do decide to watch the original, but yeah, they do. I think you're in Lior for like a good few episodes in the original, and then she comes. Nope.
I was gonna say, I'm like, there's another thing later, so I'm like, that is later.
I'm like, nope. That's
but
very
again, it's
important,
interesting.
so
They've
quiet.
spread there's another thing, which my brain's like, there's another thing.
Well, yeah,
right? But they've spread it out.
They used her character quite a bit because of the fact that the manga wasn't done yet. So they're like, we'll just throw some stories around, bring some characters back, do all this stuff. So there's a reason why she comes back, but I won't tell you why.
Sure.
But and it's also different because in the manga and in Brotherhood, her and the village people, or the people of Lior, did I say that right? Are all very pale, but in the original, everyone's brown. So I thought that was very interesting that the original Fullmetal Alchemist was like, yeah, we'll just make everybody brown. It's cool.
Well, it's like another land. It makes sense. If they're going to another, they travel.
And that's why when I first watched it, I was like, oh, Rose is so pretty. And then, I mean, she's still pretty now, but it was just like, oh, I liked her with brown skin.
Yeah.
She looked like me.
That made me think of the traveling in other towns. Something I hadn't thought of as specifically, but that's so cool about the show. Did you guys notice that essentially this is the 1900s? Because I'm like, when does this take place? Because on the mother's gravestone, it's like the late 1800s to like 1904. And I'm like,
yeah.
Because at first you're just like, is this really grounded in reality? Because like Attack on Titan, you're like, when and where, what?
You have no idea what
There's
year
no
it is.
context.
Yeah.
But in this, it's like, it's essentially Victorian, but alchemy exists, which actually is a common theme, too, with a lot of Victorian stuff of, like, magic in a different kind of way. Which technically, though, alchemy in this is science. Which, that's what's brought up so well in the episode. I was like, I just keep calling the religious one. Because he's like, no, it's science. And they're like, you do miraculous works. And he's like, But I was like, Ed does get a bit rude, though, when he's talking to her.
Yeah, for
I'm like,
sure.
you're not exactly wrong on making your point, but you don't have to be so rude to her.
But it also shows how Ed doesn't really know how to talk to people because he's only, he went through a traumatic experience when he was younger, then he only lived with his makeshift grandma and best friend, and then just threw him out into the world, was like, I'll figure it out!
Yes.
So, yeah, I like that about... Let me rephrase that. I like that his character has to go through that, and he gets better as time goes on.
Yes.
But I love in the beginning, he's just like a rude butthole.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo.
And then the show does a great job of making you like conflicted about Rose in terms of like she's had a horrible trauma. Someone she loved has died. It makes sense that she needs to cling to something of like the end episode where she's like, well, what do I do now? And then just keep moving forward, which is Ed's own advice for himself too. Was there anything else?
No, I think this episode, I'll just say real quick, is that it just seems like with this anime, there is kind of like that back and forth between something to believe in spiritually, but also something logical. And I think that's kind of like a conflict that I'm going to see for the first time in this anime. So, and I think you just need like a balance between something to believe in spiritually, but also something to believe in logically. You just have to kind of combine those things.
Which actually, real quick, I'm like, the other big point we haven't really talked about is in episode 1 and 2, we get the, 1 and 3, sorry. We get the glimpses of the possible Philosopher's Stone. Isaac had essentially swallowed it because when he dies, it like comes out on the blood. I wasn't quite sure where it came from. I thought he had swallowed it.
No, I think he did or something. Yeah.
And then the pastor father guy had it on his ring, and so we get the introduction of that, and then it breaks. Do you have any theories on what it is?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know, but you just reminded me at the end of episode 3 was when we saw Lust. I think for the second time, right?
Second time, yes.
Lust and
well, she's on the phone call briefly on the other episode, and this one we get a little more. And
she killed the pastor.
Yes.
And then we see creepy gluttony.
Oh, yes.
Can I eat him now?
You know. Tony, don't you dare.
I like Lust so far, but I do not like gluttony.
Ooh, girl.
Gluttony's a beast.
Now,
Lust, literally, I was just like, okay, I'm definitely bisexual. That's actually
like,
that's for sure. I was
hello.
like, hello, even though you could kill me amidst it, but oh my god, she's beautiful.
She seems awesome. The way she just like stuck her finger through the pastor's like skull, and then I guess gluttony ate him.
Yeah,
she can definitely poke me with her fingers.
hey. Actually, now that you brought that up, something that happens with the pastor guy that we get a little bit introduced in other bits, and this they talked about. They call it a rebound, which is essentially like a ricochet. Backfire. There we go. I felt backfire was a more.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to fire a gun, it doesn't work, explodes in your hand. So that was introduced, which you're like, I feel this is gonna keep coming up.
Yeah.
Because he looks you're like, what is on his arm? It's all messed up.
But I like it because the fact that you can tell that it's clearly not real because the fact that it's unstable. So I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, that's a great way to do that without actually telling us that it's an unstable stone. I was like, all right.
You're like,
Good job.
And then, now, Ollie, did you notice with Lust and Gluttony, they had certain symbols. Lust had one on her chest, and
He
Gluttony
had one on his tongue. And
See, that was the original one I wanted to get, but I was like, I'm not putting that on my body.
you don't want to put it right there?
No, I can't do it. But yeah, I was gonna say this, but I'm glad that someone else beat me to it in the chat. Bartel BYCS says Lust is voiced by Laura Bailey, who is married to Travis Willingham, which is Roy Mustang. Yeah, so I love it when they go to cons and they have to like the fans always ask them to like do like what's a conversation look like, but do it as Lust and Roy. And
That's funny.
So it's really funny watching like their marital like arguments, but in those voices, which is just their voices technically.
That's great.
Laura Bailey, she's like one of my favorite
she's great.
voice actresses
I
ever.
love her. I love her
awesome.
so much.
Anything else on 3 we want to cover? So yeah, Rose is such a crazy character, and then I know you were.
I'm just thinking, okay, we got Lust, we got Gluttony. Where's Envy? Where's Pride?
Ollie.
There's got to be more than those two.
Ollie.
That's
Yep,
for sure.
you're on the right track.
So
Yeah.
we'll see.
Real quick, I wanted to talk about like how Ed interacted with Rose.
Yes.
I think so I guess I'm sure you guys came to this conclusion. I just wanted to share that what I just came to. Like it's pretty much like when he's talking to her, I think it's a reflection of himself, but like speaking to his like younger self, and I think it's like he's letting his like I guess like his frustration with his younger self onto her as in like why couldn't you be as smart as like why couldn't you just like know.
Yeah.
Or like he's trying to kind of save himself in a way, but it's too late for him, so he's trying to save her from going down that same path that he went down. And it's I think it's a very powerful moment, and it's a very like introspective moment as to like Ed's psychology and where he was and where he's at now.
Oh yeah.
And
the Icarus reference.
Yeah, and I love that will probably be a continuing theme for him until he starts to get a little bit better with it and has more knowledge than what he already has. And it's really, really cool.
She figures it out too, because she's like, wait, the things he was saying, that was his life too.
Yeah, and I love that like not all the female characters in here are completely dumb the entire time. Like they have moments.
I hope not.
No, they're not. Don't worry.
Especially when you start getting further into there's some
But
really
it's a good
awesome
point
ones.
at the beginning here. It is a little bit like, come on.
And it's
I
like that
know.
in the original too, because you're just like, oh come on, do better.
Personally, I gravitate towards the strong female characters.
Sure,
That's why I
yeah.
like Sailor Moon and you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just wait.
Just
Okay,
wait.
okay,
Yeah.
good.
But it is interesting that the show starts off this way. Like, there's going to be more with certain characters that, like, at the beginning, you're like,
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
but it's drawing you in. It's the, like, beginning. So you were connection to Rose we were going to do.
Oh well, I just think Rose needs some guidance.
Yes, she
You know,
does.
and I think Rose should. She wants to have fun, right? She wants to
Yeah, I
learn and
agree.
grow, and as all of us do. But I have the perfect podcast recommendation for her. Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition, is hosted by our AfterBuzz TV founder and drops every Friday on iTunes. Conversations with Maria Menounos features celebrity and influencer interviews, along with secrets and tips on how to be better in all aspects of life, from health and wellness to career, relationships, finances, and more. Let our Maria Menounos be the big sister you've always wanted. Just go to iTunes and subscribe to Conversations with Maria Menounos for free. Be sure to rate and comment, and when you do, let Maria know it was us who sent you there. Anime After Show. Kari, Ollie, and Alexis.
Yes.
Conversations with Maria Menounos, podcast edition. Check it out.
Yeah. The other thing, too, so we got Rose in our religion episode. Great timing that this show goes, okay, well, here's the problems with religion. Next episode, episode 4, here's the problems with science. Whew. I know all y'all grab your tissues. We got an Alchemist Anguish, episode 4. This is one, I knew it was coming, but in the original, they push it back a little bit further.
Yeah,
and draw it out over multiple episodes.
Episodes 6, 7, and 8.
Ugh. So so Ollie, how was that emotional roller coaster?
I was not ready for this episode, guys.
I was hoping.
Literally,
I was scared that we were gonna stop before that episode. I was like, no.
Well, that's such a hard one to stop on, though. I was like,
it's rough.
Yeah.
I just want to continue.
I mean,
what happens next?
I need a palate cleanser.
You said that it was drawn out more in the original.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish,
was.
it still had the effect on me, the
Yeah, of
profound
course.
effect, but I
Yeah.
kind of almost wish that they kind of kept it.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest complaint of it. But I mean, it's also the same in the manga that they kind of just did it in one book and kind of just moved on from there. But yeah, I think that it hit more in the original series because of the fact that in that one, instead of them going there to ask him questions about his specific alchemy, he's actually they're going there because they're about to take their entrance exam to become state alchemists.
Okay, because I was wondering, like, why were they there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were living
Yeah.
there because they were trying to study under him. That
Yeah.
was the whole point. So of course they spent more like days,
Yes.
weeks at that point. I think seasons changed at one point during those episodes and stuff. Like it was snowing at one point, then it wasn't at one point. It was crazy. But yeah, and they like but that's the thing.
Pictures.
Oh,
my
okay, I can't look. I'll start crying. But that's the other thing too is that I did like that it was drawn out in that one, but there's also so much filler because in that episode when you first get introduced to them, Major Hughes comes over and he's like, "Oh, it's your birthday, Ed. Let's go have dinner." And then the
we didn't
wife.
really talk about Hughes. That's true. May
Yeah.
Hughes is a great fun character
Oh,
that
I
we
love
get real
him.
quick.
Yeah. Sorry, I can't look at it. It hurts.
The feels.
So
But
real quick,
he comes over and he's like, "Oh, it's your birthday. I want to throw you a dinner." And at that point, his wife was pregnant. She goes into labor. Of course, it's a blizzard, so he runs out. So like the kids have to deliver the baby. Like it's just like silly things that they throw in there to drop. But they also Nina was there, so she got to spend more time with them and all that kind of stuff. And then the next episode was the actual exam itself. Nina went with them to the exam. Like there's so many.
wow.
Yeah, because she went to go cheer Ed on and things like that. So
Well, then conversely, I think it's amazing that this episode crams into one. Because I was wondering, I'm like, are they going to really get through all of this in one episode?
and they did.
do. They give you so much feels. You love this little girl. You love this dog. You're like, this is great and adorable. And then they hit you with it. Show Tucker, you're like, don't trust to do with glasses too. The shiny, like.
Yeah, as soon as they show that, I'm like, and you're suspicious.
No! I cried. I'll be honest. I cried.
I cry
was like,
every time. I've seen this. I've seen
And it's
both
just-
versions.
It's just so sad and pitiful. Like I own dogs and like seeing the crowd like falling in on itself posture is just so like and the way it talks is just so like breaks your heart.
I definitely didn't see this coming. I've watched this
Right?
for the first time.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And I could tell something was off,
Okay,
especially when
of course.
Ed like knelt down. just the coloring of the entire scene.
Oh yeah, I love how you
not
can
much
tell
color.
the difference when they from them being there in the beginning and then the next day it's like kind of grayed out.
It got so monochrome. I didn't see this coming, and all I could think was like, wow, that chimera is really creepy. Something's wrong with it. It looks down. Then there was like this awkward silent period, and I'm like, what's gonna happen?
There we go.
Yeah.
And her name was Nina, the little girl.
Nina and Alexander.
Yeah, I was like wondering where she was.
Yeah, you're like, where is she?
And then like, yeah, I was like, no freaking way. This is episode 4 of Brotherhood, and I'm like so shook right now.
Well, even then, did you like the connection when they're like, when did your life? How many years ago did you take the exam? When was your wife around? And then you put the 2 and 2 together, and you're like, and the creature then was like, I want to die. And
And I feel like it was more significant in the original, mostly because the fact that Nina tries to make letters or drawings to send to her mom, and he burns them.
Oh no!
And then Ed found the burned letters, and he was like, why are these just in the fire? This doesn't make any sense. And that's when he started to pick up on it. But I liked in this one because the fact that we didn't really get any inclination that Ed knew. He just immediately figured it out.
He was smart. Yeah.
Oh, as soon as she called him brother, I was like, oh my god.
Oh yeah, you're just like,
I'm sorry, iTunes listeners, because you're just gonna hear me grunt.
Yeah, we're
the
all
next
like,
episode because it hurts. But I also liked it because in the original and in this one, he seems like such a warm character in the beginning, and then you start to notice he kind of starts to lose it as the episode continues or episodes continue. And I
this one immediately something's a little off, but this one they do it quickly because you were talking about they expand it more on the original.
3
I
episodes.
like it's quickly done. Like there's one line of dialogue. He has to do the exam because they get money. Like that's how they live. You know, like
if you're a dog in the military, you get good money.
Oh, then you become a dog.
Sorry, I don't mean that.
But at the end of this, before we were talking, Ollie brought up a great point that this at the end has a character we haven't mentioned yet. We get the crossed face guy, which I'm like, I had his name before too, but
it's Scar. You're right.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
Scar.
doesn't he have a longer name too?
Probably, but
Braun. I'm sorry, guys. I had it written down on my other piece of paper. That's at home.
Just put it in the chat. But I know he goes by Scar.
Yes. How he does the mercy kill.
Yeah.
Like he recognizes, like, and then you're like, I feel bad, but at least she didn't have to suffer long.
Yeah, and it's crazy because
she says dad too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's again me being grandpa being like back in the day. But it's also crazy because in the original we get a whole weird storyline with a different general who comes in and is like, all right, well, we need the Chimera and we're gonna take it. And so they take it, and then Ed obviously runs after them and all this kind of stuff. They hit the car that she's in, and she runs off into an alleyway. That's where Scar finds her, and that's where we get that crazy image.
Oh, there's the thing where it's strung up.
So in the original, she's in an alleyway. Scar finds her and has that moment of like, oh my god,
he knows she's wrong.
Yeah, and when he kills her, her blood splatters onto the alley back wall, but it kind of looks like an angel. Not really, but it looks. It's significant. Like there's something.
So it's like a different mercy killing scene.
Yeah. Because in this one, I felt like it also hurt because the fact that you're seeing the dad and daughter and dog together. But this one, it hit more.
Oh, and he says, "God, I'm sending you."
Yeah.
Actually, though, he goes, "I'm sending you 2 spirits." I'm like, "Hey, there's 3. That dog counts too."
No, I think. Well, I don't know if he was saying about the dad, Shao Tucker.
That's a good point too. He's not talking about the dad. I'm not sending.
Because remember, he hates all state alchemists, so I'm assuming that he's like, that's not a human. Yes. But I don't know. But yeah, I'm gonna say 3 souls because I would like for his soul to be saved in this
or at least,
scenario or something.
Get a chance. He gets to go and plead his case.
But yeah, but that's where it hurts more because Ed has to see that up against the wall, so he has his first like breakdown moment, but we don't get it in this one, which is fine because it also shows that he's
he's outside on the rain steps, and they're kind of like, but they bring up a really hard point too, where Mustang's like, okay, you killing someone for the military is almost the same as the scientist killing somebody, so you got to learn to deal with it. And you're like, ugh.
But that's also where we see Roy Mustang's true colors there. I was like, ooh, because he's a man of war. He understands how that works. Yeah, so it's tough. Any
other final thoughts on this crazy episode?
Well, it can only get worse after episodes like that. I'm assuming.
They're not all that heavy. All right, so that wraps up our episode 4. Next week we'll be talking about the next 4 episodes. So real quick, let's get into some anime news.
AfterBuzz TV.
Oh, news, yay. Okay, so Aniplex of America has some news that Sword Art Online is having another show. So it's Sword Art Online Alternative Gun Gale Online. It will be streaming on Crunchyroll and Hulu on April 7th with new episodes every Sunday.
That's coming up,
So,
isn't it?
yes, it's like this weekend.
Oh, okay.
So it features the same world as the Gun Gale Online where Kirito and Sinon met in Sword Art Online 2. So we have a couple character photos from that. So that's
she's adorable.
Yeah, they call her like the Pink Devil or something.
Oh my
because she
God.
runs around shooting people in pink.
Oh my God.
And then there's just some other cool characters that I'm like, oh, cool. I like
I
it.
love that suit. That's awesome.
And so you know Sword Art Online, but Ollie, this one will be a new one for you.
Right over my head.
No, it's okay. So
that's also
it's
something to
an
get into.
online game essentially, and the very first one, it's like fantasy.
Yeah.
And then there's more
like an
fantasy,
RPG.
and then it goes into like a shoot 'em up, first person shooter version. So yeah. So that would be that, and then with Viz Media is going to be getting a bunch of new titles. The image right now is they're doing a complete collection of, expands on the catalog for the anime K, the franchise, so it's K7 Stories.
Cool.
I haven't gotten into this anime yet, but I've heard it's really good. I've watched a little bit, but I haven't watched too much.
Watched it, so.
Also, Viz Media publishing catalog is going to have Dragon Quest Illustrations 30th Anniversary Edition, Deluxe Hardcover Collector's Edition.
Cool.
I always love when they do art books. It's great.
Oh, so cool.
And then there's Dragon Ball, the complete art, and there's Dragon Ball, sorry. And then there's going to be the complete art of Full Metal Alchemist, which features the art from the beloved manga series.
Take my money.
And what are some other ones? Yeah, so some other titles. Check more on bizmedia.com. And with TMS News, there's going to be another Lupin the Third.
Dun, 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 dun.
This will be part 5. It will launch on Crunchyroll April 3rd. So I'm like, oh wait, today. Simultaneously with Japan's broadcast. It'll be streamed with the original Japanese audio and English subtitles.
Sweet.
Part 5 is going to be 24 30-minute episodes, and it's going to reveal the secret life story of how Lupin the Third came to be the world's greatest thief.
Hey, that's great.
I was like, ooh. And then by Funimation, so you people going to cons at C2E2, Chicago's Comic and Entertainment Expo, there will be Funimation and Box Lunch unveiled Dragon Ball Z Fusion Dance Funko Pop 2-pack. So that will be there at that convention. It features characters Goten and Trunks in their iconic fusion dance and to become Gotenks. Dragon Ball Z Fusion Dance 2-pack will release Friday, April 6th, so this coming weekend, for $29.99, and then you'll be able to purchase it in person at the Funimation booth, which is number 408 if you're at the C2E2.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because if you haven't seen the meme, if you have a strong heart, they have a meme of Nina and Alexander as the faces, and they're like doing the fusion dance, and I'm like, why do you do? Yeah, there it is!
Oh my
I
gosh.
found it. You read my mind. Look at it. It's awful. I think it's on a shirt.
And then
like,
if you're
sorry.
like, no, it's too hard. And if you're not going to the con, though, don't worry. Box Lunch retail locations will have it, or online at both Funimation.com and BoxLunch.com.
Yeah.
So that's your anime news for now. And then we ran out of time on previous episodes, but a fun thing we like to do here is the the Japanese word of the day. Well, the anime word of the day, but they are from the animes we're watching. So yes, so this one, nice and easy. We have the word Yuki, which means snow.
Yuki.
So if you're spelling that out in English letters, it's Y-U-K-I, which is kind of nice and easy. But I was like, oh, we've had snow on a couple of our episodes of other things we talked about. So
Yeah.
I was going to say, everybody gets to say it once.
Yuki.
Yuki.
Yay!
My mom's
Tony?
Yuki?
Yeah. My mom's dog's named Yuki, which is
Aw,
for
that's a
snow because
cute
she's
name.
white. No, because she's
Aw.
white, so it made
See,
sense.
it's more exciting than, just making...
Also, there's so many people in the live chat who are
Yes.
also attributing more news. Real quick, there's a Fully Cooley season 2.
Oh yeah, I
and
forgot to mention
3,
that.
Yeah.
And My Hero, I guess
Academia.
Season 3 is coming
We
out.
talked
talked
about
about
that.
as well.
We got that one.
Yeah,
My
like
Hero Academia.
2 episodes ago.
Yeah. Guys, that was like 2
I
episodes.
myself have to catch up. Yeah.
But hey, if you
Yeah.
guys are
Oh,
new
so
to our show, welcome. So this is a show where we cover a whole bunch of different anime shows. We first did Kakegurui, and then we did Be the Beginning. Now we're on some Full Metal Alchemist. Let us know what you think of Full Metal Alchemist. How do you want us to? Right now we're planning to do the first part, which is 1 through 13. Let us know how much you love it. If you love it, we'll keep going. You know, we want your feedback. Let us know, comments down below. Share the video, tell your friends, because this is an amazing show, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, and it's been really fun talking about it. And so thank you so much for joining us in the chat. That wraps us up for today. And then where can people find you all online and continue conversation?
You guys can find me all over social media at atorres890. That's ATORRES 890. Oh, I forgot to mention, Cowboy Bebop's 20th anniversary was today.
Woo!
If you haven't watched that anime, go watch it. It's great.
Yes, guys, and I'm Oliver Drennan. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ollie Dreamer.
And my name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE. And make sure to follow us on Twitter at ABTV Anime, because also we look at manga as well. And maybe if we don't get to talk about it on this show, we'll post like quick reviews and let you know about some new ones. There's 2 already that I read, and then I'll be doing a horror one of Jinjo Ito's new one and called Shiver. Oh my goodness. Look for those photos and review soon. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in next week and we'll see you later.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
See you, Space Cowboy.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.